Hello, we are back. Vacation Rental Blueprint episode 109. I am Tim, and joined with me as always, TC. TC, hello. How are you?
Well, this cold continues
Still.
to kick my rear end. It is the gift that keeps on giving. Listeners out there, apologies if my voice comes in and goes out, but this cold is just grabbing hold and not letting go.
Yeah, probably exacerbated by spring and some allergies. So not helping you on that front. And
I've been, last night we're struggling to not watch Ted Lasso. I
okay.
hate watching it week to week. So we're trying to let it all build up and then binge watch. And man, we were tempted last night. Instead, we watched the last episode of The Last of Us, which, shout out. What an amazing show.
There you go. Are you going to wait till the very end on that show to watch all of them? Because I always think, I'm going to read some news article and it'll just ruin the last episode. And I was like, oh crap, I still have 9 episodes.
I am going to try. How many episodes are there? Do you know? I know there are 3 into it now.
I don't know. I would think maybe 10, but that might also. I maybe read an article about Succession being 10 episodes, which is another. It's that time of year. Spring is that time of year where all these shows come back, and I think gone are the days where they would just release them all at once. Those were fun days. Those were good days. Not so much from the pandemic that was occurring around it, but when a show came out, it came out.
The Last of Us has been a great show to watch, and we had to go a few weeks before we could watch the last episode. Life just kept happening, so we couldn't watch it. And you were right about the spoiler. We heard about it before we got to watch it, but what a great show, and really interested to see what they do with season 2 and if they try to explore season 3. But man, great show.
I always think, one of our homes has that great theater room that I'm just like, there's no one staying at the home right now. I could go, I could go. And I was like, no, that's not what I modeled out as one of my objectives to be able to binge watch TV shows. That was not in my objective framework. So I don't use the space for that, but
Well, what are we going to talk about this week, Tim?
I mean, we're on episode 109. Episode 108, I thought was a fantastic episode, hopefully a very helpful episode, and one that I don't hear enough of these short-term rental podcasts talking about around profitability. Again, not going to call anyone out specifically, but the number of podcasts out there talking about how easy it is, and it's just like flipping a switch and you can make all this money, doing a real disservice. So hopefully we can provide a not necessarily a counter message, because this is an amazing industry and you can make good money in this industry with the right strategy and the right execution. But I think what we talked about last week around cash on cash return, and then specifically our framework that works for us around setting your objectives, setting your strategy based on those objectives, and then executing tactics in support of strategy and objectives. Hopefully that was a good starting point for a lot of individuals, as maybe they're looking to either expand their portfolio of homes. Maybe they've got 1 and they're trying to get to 2, or maybe they've got 3, they're trying to get to number 4 and 5. For us, the framework works for us, and we hopefully kept it as open-ended so that an individual can go in and fill their own objectives and define their own objective strategy and tactics. So in a long-winded way, I kind of think episode 109 really needs to dig in a little bit more strategically to cash on cash, and just maybe some stories and learnings, both through maybe the mistakes you and I have made, of which there's been countless, and some of the wins that we have enjoyed along the way as well. But I think really understanding and understanding some stories we have around optimizing through some decisions we've made, I think we can have a pretty good conversation about that today.
Yeah, and when we introduced the framework of objectives, strategies, and tactics, one of the strategies was finding that designer who could help us with the furnishing package, the decor, all the design elements. And I'm sure our listeners will remember that's a pretty large chunk of cash in that first year. So being able to optimize that money is important. Now, please hear me. I'm not saying how to minimize, because if you go cheap on everything, bad call. But there's a way to optimize your spend on furnishings, decor, and just the overall feel of the home. And I think today what we can do is kind of put things into two categories. So the most recent investment property that we purchased, let's put that into two categories. When we worked with our designer on furnishings, decor, elements around the home, we made some good decisions. And that good decisions was based on analysis, and that allowed us to invest in things that optimized our cash on cash returns. And then we made some boneheaded decisions where we spent money emotionally that was cash out of pocket that really didn't have any positive impact on cash returns. So, two categories: I'm an idiot and I'm not an idiot. And then we'll look at each one through that framework.
Yeah, and hopefully all of our episodes will dip in and out of both of those those learnings, those strategies for learning. When I think about the design piece, um, I often get stuck, and maybe not stuck, but you know, I'm in Central Florida. I think I've mentioned that almost every episode. I moved here specifically because this is where I grew up, and this is where I wanted to raise two beautiful girls. And so, when I think of Central Florida, when I think of vacation rentals in Central Florida, and specifically proximity to places that call themselves the happiest place on earth, right? Um, design and your strategic design decisions are maybe a little different than if you are looking to invest in a vacation rental in Tennessee or Texas or Colorado or California. Doesn't mean they're any less important, but I do think place plays into those initial thoughts and strategies that you're implementing around design, and working with the right designer, and essentially finding the right designer to help maybe fine tune your vision, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we were fortunate. We'll have Tammy on a future episode. We were fortunate to find, a great designer that just didn't listen and do what we asked for. She pushed back. She gave us perspective. She gave us the words of wisdom from her experience. And finding someone like that is incredibly helpful if you truly want to optimize your cash on cash return. Finding a designer that is as interested in your success as you are yourself is important. And shout out to Tammy, future episode guest. She is just that person.
Yeah, and having those conversations with designers, I'll use the Central Florida reference just because I'm here, but you know, I see a lot of homes where the designer has provided guidance to the owner that decals are the way to go. Hey, you want to name your uh, IP? You want a Star Wars theme room? Cool. Let's put this Darth Vader decal on the wall. Um, and in some cases, maybe there's some strategic design elements that you do want to add in that format, but you know the conversations with designers are really about what do you as the owner envision, what's your objective on how you envision this home, what are things that you want to see, what are things that you think will differentiate your home from others, and then taking that and really listening and letting your designer shape a vision for how the spaces can come together. I'm always going to say let the experts be the experts and let them do what they do best, and hopefully I can kind of mold and shepherd the vision how I see it, but with an eye toward I've got an expert here, Tammy being an absolute expert in what she does, and really understanding it's a give and take and a conversation, a dialogue, not a monologue around how this design of your space is going to really map out and be created so that the guest, no matter where your vacation rental is, your guest has a special experience during their stay and feels like there was some actual thought put into the designing of the space.
So let's get into it. With every decision that we made on this last
Hmm.
property, every investment, every element of the home, it requires cash.
Hmm.
And when you can, we try to look hard at the cash we're spending on a particular item or a particular element and asking ourselves, is this going to enhance our ability to rent it? Or is it going to enhance the overall economic model? So let's start with a good decision. Let's protect our egos and start with a good decision we made to start with. The first one is flooring. So, Tim, you remember we got into this first or this most recent property, and there was carpet in the bedrooms, carpet in the loft, carpet in some hallways, and we looked at this and it was builder grade carpet.
Cheap.
So,
Yep.
yeah, cheap stuff. We knew it was going to wear out in probably a couple years, best case scenario. We also know that in, a lot of short-term rental communities, whether it's Florida or elsewhere, carpet is an area that bed bugs can hide and nest and do whatever they do, but they're nasty little critters and you want to try to avoid bed bugs to your best abilities.
Do I
So
need to add a bed bug episode to our episode list? What do
I
you think?
think we do because we're getting ready to go into that season in Florida, and it is horrific.
Well,
So
yep.
yes,
Done.
so
Added.
yeah, so carpet. We decided to rip out all the carpet and replace it with, for our design taste, wood look tile. And first of all, it looks beautiful. I mean, the wood look tile is absolutely beautiful. We're not talking vinyl tile, we're talking ceramic tile, so it's very durable, looks great. But why did we make that decision and why did that enhance our ROI? Well, we're not going to have to replace carpet every couple years. We're not going to have to clean shampoo the carpet probably 4 or 5 times a year based on our experience. Can you get away with fewer times? Sure, but not wise. And then we completely mitigate the risk of bed bugs in carpet when you take out all the carpet. So when we did the math, the amount that we were going to spend ripping out carpet and installing wood look ceramic tile, the payback was going to be about a year and a half, 18 months. And not only was the payback strong, but you mitigate that risk of bed bugs because if indeed you get bed bugs and it's in the carpet, there's only one way to eliminate those bed bugs, and it means taking your home out of the rental pool. It means tenting the home. It is just a devastating process. So, we're going to chalk this up in the smart decision. Replacing carpet with wood look ceramic tile eliminates cost of shampooing, replacement, mitigates the risk of bed bugs. And when you think about your cleaning team who has to come in and do the turnover cleaning, so much easier to take out the Swiffer and just really do a great job on the floor. It looks great, it's sanitized, and it's a much more straightforward process for your cleaning team, Tim.
Yeah, and a couple things on the flooring specifically. I think the tile you selected is was amazing, and I think when you compare that to some of our other properties where we have builder grade tile, similar to builder grade carpet, I think it really goes back to builder grade tile is some of the absolute worst tile to try to get free of streaks and just get a nice shine and polish. Not impossible, but you really need, again, going back to a great cleaning company. Shout out to our sponsor, Cleaning B&B, who's focused on vetting and working with the best cleaning companies, while also providing resources for new business owners to start their own cleaning company. Having a process and understanding the difference between tiles and carpets and different floorings, and the care it takes to get each of those clean, using maybe different strategies, or a more robust cleaning strategy, that's essential. So if you're not working with the right cleaning company, they're going to come in and they're going to mop your floor, and they're going to get footprints all over it. They're going to use too much soap, not enough water. It's going to be sticky. I could write a book on cleaning floors, as crazy and silly as that sounds, but there's a lot of those pieces that working with the right cleaner, and setting the right expectations for your cleaning company, that which Cleaning B&B is an expert at, really really pays off in the end. But when I think about flooring, is there a regional aspect, TC, to this as well? Because I think in the north, in maybe colder climates, here in Florida, it's winter going into spring right now, and the high today is like 92, right? So that cool tile is welcoming for a lot of our guests across all of our properties. But when you get into maybe more northern climates, where maybe people want carpet, there's a time, and maybe more specifically the right place to think about carpet for your vacation rental, right?
Yeah, there is, and we looked at some properties in the mountains, the ski-ins, ski out, and in those properties where bed bugs really aren't an issue. If they are,
Right.
they're a very small issue, but really not a big risk. What we find in those types of properties is they like to use engineered wood and a low pile or a low profile carpet. Both of those
Hmm.
can work real nice. But I think your point's valid, and that is make sure your flooring is matched with your environment. So there's really three objectives with flooring. First of all, match it to your environment. And then secondly, make sure it is the best for your cleaning team. And then finally, make sure the flooring that you're using enables you to minimize your cost of ongoing maintenance and replacement. So, when you look at the other side of the ledger, boneheaded things, well, you said it, the builder grade tile in the lower level of this last home. Oh my God, it is just, it's terrible. And it's one of those tiles where even when it's clean, it doesn't look clean.
It looks dirty. Yeah.
So the guest walks in, and we could easily make the argument, oh, no, no, these floors are incredibly clean. But if you
Right.
look at them, they don't look it because they are just horrible, horrible tile. So what do we have to do? Every time we have a turnover, we've got to mop them. We've got to use the cross wave machine, and then we've got to use the shark steamer just to get the floors looking as good as they are clean. The boneheaded mistake, I should have ripped those out too and replaced them with the same wood look ceramic tile, and we would have eliminated a lot more cleaning costs than we consider or we continue to experience today. So, March 18th, March 19th, I've got someone coming in to give me an estimate on doing just that.
And I think that's creates a great question that hopefully our listeners are thinking about right now, of if I'm going to invest in a vacation rental, and I'm working through my cash on cash return, and I'm looking through, what do I want year one versus year two to be, and then modeling out my pro forma. Is there a case that says, okay, well, maybe I have builder carpet, maybe I have builder tile. Uh, can I roll with that for now, and model that out to be like when I need to replace the carpet, I'll either, if carpet works for my space, I'll either upgrade the carpet then, or, do I really kind of talk through your perspective on when's the right time? Can you get away with one cycle on carpet and make the switch, or does it add too much work to try to make that change versus doing it, while you're getting your property ready for its first rental?
Yeah, I would say there's no one answer here. I think you can look
Right.
at it both ways. The reason we chose to do it early on is because we wouldn't have the additional expense of moving out all the furnishings and then moving them back in. And that was going to add between two and $2,500 to the cost. So we decided to do it on the front end. And also, honestly, I'm scared to death of bed bugs. But
Right.
there is certainly a solid rationale for someone coming in saying, I can even do a better job managing my cash on cash return by letting it go through the cycle. And when the
Mhm.
carpet has to be replaced, doing it then. Nothing wrong with that logic at all. I just have a fear of bed bugs and I didn't want the additional expense of moving the furniture in and moving it out. But I would say either scenario works. It really comes down to just do your math, do your
Yeah.
analytics, and whichever decision you come up with, make sure it's backed up with good data.
Well, and there's a pro forma strategy, as you're mapping out and planning your reserves over the course of the years. Um, there's a strategy to say those reserves. And correct me if I'm wrong, but some of those reserves, as they're built up, can be allocated toward a future flooring replacement, or something along those lines. Where if you build your pro forma correctly, it may take less cash out of pocket if you build your strategy. But it all goes back to making sure you have said strategy before moving forward.
Yeah, if we didn't do the flooring replacement at the onset, what I would have done is increased the reserve and built it up to where I could have done that probably 2.5 years in. And then my reserve would have been higher. It certainly would have been reflected accordingly on the performa, but
Mhm.
definitely a very logical and rational way to approach it. Just goes to show there's never just one way. We're going to share with you ways we think about it, but I think the underlying message is always going to be let data drive your decisions.
So should an owner, when they're thinking about something like this type of upgrade, is there a rate impact? Like, can they look at it and say this is going to impact rate, or is it more of this is going to impact guest satisfaction, which can positively impact rate and occupancy over time?
Yeah, I think all of these decisions should do one of a few things. Your
Yeah.
decision is either going to help mitigate cost or risk bed bugs. It could enhance the overall property to allow you to drive a higher rental income or a higher nightly
Mhm.
rate. Or to your point exactly, it could just result in higher satisfaction, better reviews, great word of mouth. I will tell you, our experience so far has been that the replacement of the carpet and using the wood look ceramic tile, that has been something that has driven satisfaction and referral because they don't see it in many homes. And the guest believes the home is cleaner. I think a lot of
Mhm.
folks are kind of grossed out by the carpet and the lack of cleanliness in a carpet. So this decision has led to satisfaction.
Right. And for the sake of trying to make sure this isn't just a flooring episode, the last thing I'll say is, you know, for tile, where we needed to be mindful of and shift our mindset is, you know, grout can look disgusting over time, right? You can very quickly start with a white grout, and then if the floors aren't being cleaned effectively, you can, in less than a year have a black grout, which, does a fair bit of absorption of smells, odors, and bacteria. So, it's more of understanding what you're making the shift into in your space, and understanding also that it doesn't mean that it is bulletproof. You're going to have to plan for maybe a grout cleaning, and plan to review your grout and make sure your cleaning company is on top of that aspect of the cleanliness, because walking into a home with dirty grout, that can open up a whole other set of guest dissatisfaction that you'll need to deal with when they walk in and say, this house sort of smells like dirty mop water, right? And that's the last thing you want.
So the next bad decision I made that absolutely had a negative impact on cash return is the Harry Potter room. I
Hmm.
love Harry Potter. I love everything about Harry Potter, and I really wanted to do the Harry Potter bedroom upright.
Yeah.
And Tammy, our designer, said, when you think about the walls, this is what I would do. They make this amazing wallpaper that looks so authentically brick like that it's a great way to bring the room to life,
Hmm.
and it's not cost prohibitive. It's very durable. There's 10 reasons why to go this direction. It's going to make the
Yeah.
room look great. And I said, no, 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 no. We want to do this most authentically. Let's put real brick on the wall. Let's make sure that when the guest touches it, they feel real brick and real grout. And we're going to come up with a really distressed brick to look like it was inside the castle. And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm
Right.
darn right sure. So she's like, all right, I'm going to try to talk you out of it. And she did. And I was stubborn and I was an idiot. And we put brick on the walls.
Hmm.
It has done nothing but been a cash on cash return killer. Nobody even notices. Every
Yeah.
guest that stays in the Harry Potter room, no one has even mentioned the authentic brick that we put on the wall. So this is one where I let emotion override analytics. It was a dumb decision. It cost me $15,000 when instead I could have spent $1,800 on some fabulous wallpaper, and I'll never get the payback on this. I'm not getting guest satisfaction. I'm not getting higher rates, and I'm not getting anything from a cleanliness point of view. So, strike one, strike two, strike three, boneheaded decision.
That said, I love that room, and I know you love that room too. And that goes back to working with that designer, but understanding that you and I may love that room, but the designer is the expert that is really sharing the vision and what works. So, yeah, when you walk into that room and there's a Nimbus, what is it? A Nimbus 2000 hanging on the wall. There's a sleeping Dumbledore portrait and this full brick wall, and you have a lantern on the wall and a platform 9 3/4. And I mean, it's just such an awesome room for you and I. But just because we love it doesn't mean it translates to the guest, and that's where listening to an expert like our designer Tammy, and really taking what she's saying, what they're saying, and actually heeding it and understanding, okay, well, maybe there is a better spend on that capital investment that will actually equate to something toward a return.
And here's how the conversation went with Tammy. Tammy knew that one of my objectives was a 20% cash on cash return. And when we were going back and forth on brick like wallpaper or real brick, she's like, okay, well, if you really want to do brick and if that's something that's important to you, by all means, you should decorate the home in a way that makes you happy. Just why don't we do this? Why don't we take your 20% cash on cash return objective? Let's lower it to 18% because that's what you just did. It's like, ouch,
Hmm.
ouch.
Yeah.
That stung, but the things that sting are the things that are usually hit home with the most accuracy. Let's talk about a good decision.
Let's do it.
So, I think a good decision we made was our televisions. So, Tim, as you know, we have 13 TVs in that home.
We do.
Sometimes we're painfully aware of 13 TVs, but these homes were wired for projection TVs. And you and I have stayed in short term rentals that have projection TVs, and you are faced with five, maybe six remotes. They never work. It's just a guest nightmare and
Right.
therefore a satisfaction nightmare. So we decided to put Roku TVs in every room. And with Roku now, the Roku operating system is built into the TV. So no
Hmm.
separate devices required. You operate the entire system with one remote, and now Roku TVs allow you to install additional speakers, subwoofers, center channels, surround sound, and it's a great low cost option compared to the other options out there. So, Roku TVs in every room, one remote, easy to use, easy to troubleshoot, and the cost of those TVs were so much less than investing in projection TVs with receivers and all of these things. So, this decision led to guest satisfaction. Everyone is terribly impressed with one remote, easy to use, and great viewing.
And Roku, when we went through, do you install Apple TVs? Do you just put a cable box? Which, for our property, they were provided. Um, but it's all, are we adding steps to the guest stay? And we kept saying, yeah, we're adding steps. And so then we said, okay, well, we want one system. We want all inclusive, one television. Well, every major TV maker has an operating system and a smart TV that you can use their one proprietary remote and navigate it. But then as we're looking at all of these different operating systems, it's like, well, it's to each his or her own. That's fine. But Roku, when we looked at it, it was the most user friendly, and it was the easiest to kind of navigate when you open it up and you've just got all of the apps. We chose to provide a couple streaming services in our homes already logged in for the accounts, and then we were able to connect our cable service to the Roku TV as well. So basically, you turn one remote on, and that remote is replaceable. So if the remote breaks or somehow goes missing, we have a couple backups and we're ready to go. We're not hunting for a new name your TV brand remote to get in. It's very easy to navigate the entire system, and you just use one remote, turns on the TV. The TV's operating system is Roku. Roku takes you to, your Netflix, your Disney, your cable, whatever you need, but it's all right there upon powering on. And then when you're done, you power it off. And it's definitely something that we've felt and we've heard from guests that it was very easy to navigate and no issues, and that's our goal, is to limit the barriers to entry for someone who just wants to turn on a TV and watch Toy Story in our custom Toy Story room. It's very easy and there's few steps.
So the next boneheaded decision was, we were furnishing all the bedrooms and the living room, dining room, and there were a few bedrooms that, we were looking to manage our total cost. And we were
Hmm.
using cash to design and furnish the home. And we looked at these last two bedrooms and thought, let's just go with some low cost furniture. Looks good,
Right.
but not the best quality. Well, we've already replaced that furniture three times because the guest broke it. And I don't
Yeah.
blame the guest. This was cheap furniture. I knew it was cheap furniture. It was a bad decision. It was done to short sightedly save a few dollars. And how do they break beds? Well, the slats in the bed break, or the headboard breaks, or the feet fall off. There's a number of things that happen. So, you know, it's the old penny wise, whatever it was, dollar foolish. We should have spent more money on the furniture, because now, having replaced it two or three times, we've spent more than we would have on the front end. So, what's the message here? Take the advice of your designer and install quality furniture. You don't have to go top of the line, but do quality furnishings so that the repair or the maintenance, the upkeep is reasonable and it's not going to break on you. So once again, if I'd have taken Tammy's advice, I wouldn't have purchased those two bedroom sets. But I got silly and stupid and did that. And I think that's a lesson learned.
I really want to get a designer expert onto our show, because I do think there's so much strategy that you need to think about. I mean, the house you're referencing with the Harry Potter house, that's a 9-bedroom home. So how do you, if you're mapping out your uh, site improvement capital allocation after you buy a home, and you're looking at 9 bedrooms, is the strategy, because I see it a lot where one bedroom, you can tell this is the signature bedroom. This is where a disproportionate amount of funds went in to design this house. But then the flip side of that is you always see the least important bedroom, right? It's the one that was the last on the design list, and the one that they're like, okay, we need to value engineer this a lot cheaper. So you go from, and not in the 9 bedroom house, because I love that house and I love the design aesthetic that Tammy's put together. But in the hundreds of other homes I've been in, you'll come across that home where it starts out with this beautiful, well thought out designed room, and then by the time you get to the back corner of the upstairs, you're onto IKEA furniture. Nothing against IKEA, but when you're trying to design something that's going to last in a vacation rental, not always the right choice to make. But you just get to that point where you're like, all right, we went from X thousands of dollars to design to a few $100s of design. What's the right way to spread that money out? And I think that's a question that I know I'm not equipped to answer, and you're probably not equipped to answer. So, Tammy, we're going to be reaching out to get you on our show to really teach us how we should be thinking about spreading out the capital allocation across a vacation rental.
Yeah, and one thing that Tammy encouraged me to do during the budgeting process. So, as important as it is to build your performa, it's also very important to build your detailed budget around furnishings, decor, and elements around the home. We can be as detailed as we want on this budget. Always add 20%, because you're going to run into things that you fall in love with. So let's be smart. Let's build 20% overflow into this budget, and let's build your performa and your cash on cash return with that 20% overflow built in. That was very wise guidance, because once again, conservative approach. And we ended up using 17% of that 20%. So had I not built that in, then my cash on cash model would not have been as accurate as it should have been.
Let's put our reminiscing hats on and talk about 2020, when we're working on some properties, and there's no furniture in America. As crazy as that is to say, there's no furniture in America to furnish some of these rooms. And, well, what do you mean there's no furniture? Oh, it's on ships, or it's not coming out of wherever the port of exit is. There's no furniture. I talked to quite a few owners who are, they're wrapping up a Star Wars bedroom, and they're just like, I just need a bed. Like, I just don't, I'm not putting the mattress on the floor. I need a bed. And so some of those unforeseen circumstances on decor, I mean, who you work with for your designer, uh, it's also kind of a relationship game. Great designers have great relationships with, furniture makers, furniture or fixture manufacturers, or lighting manufacturers, or whatever their specialty is, or whatever they've built these relationships for. You're able to navigate some challenges in sourcing with the right designer as well, which can save you money. It can save you money, or it can alleviate the stress of not being able to complete your work and not be able to get your home on the market.
That's right. That's exactly right. And as we continue down the list, the next good decision we made that had a very positive impact on our cash and cash return was our investment in technology. And we did a show on this, so we won't go into a lot of detail. But the $8,000 that we spent on our technology package has paid back in a number of ways. Number one, it's allowed us to self manage. That was a big
That's it. Yeah.
strategy related to our objectives. And then, secondly, it has enhanced dramatically the guest satisfaction. When they reach out and they need assistance from me, the technology package that we installed allowed us and continues to allow us to support our guests during their stay. So, technology was a big enabler for self managing and continues to be a big driver of guest satisfaction.
I mean, that piece was, I mean, and even going back to something like the televisions. I mean, 2019, I still remember it. I checked into a vacation rental, and none of the remotes were working. And so, let me pull the back out, let me check the batteries, and the batteries were actually corroded in the back of the remotes. And these weren't like Roku remotes; they were the television remotes. And so, it's that technology. We reached out to, in this case, it was a property manager. Couldn't get anyone to really help solve the problem. 3 hours later, I had a member or someone assigned by the property manager to come to the house to check, just show up with a pack of batteries, and try to just replace the batteries, which were corroded into the back of these remotes. And I mean, long story short, we went the pretty much entirety of the vacation just without TVs. We're on vacation, so it's not a huge deal, but still hugely annoying. And again, that's just the piece of, that little touch point of technology, which is a centralized TV system, a full all-in-one operating system television. um, that's just one of a multitude of technology touch points that we've added to minimize the stress to the guest and eliminate, a bad guest experience for something as simple as, I can't turn on the TV. I'm not really watching too much TV when I'm on vacation, but maybe there is something that, I want the kids to watch Toy Story, so I can get some work done, or maybe it is just as simple as, I want to check what's going on in a sporting event or something along those lines. The technology investment and being mindful of those technology investments will pay off, because it's that self management piece, it's that elimination of the property management, and I play that through. Like, if that were to happen at one of our rentals, it wouldn't, because we employ a CleaningBnB cleaning team that does their preventative maintenance 3 times a year, and they don't just check; they replace all the batteries in the remotes just to make sure all the batteries are fully functioning. Um, but then, even if you know we're self managing and there was an issue with the remote, Cleaning B&Bs offers those services. Each individual cleaning company has the freedom to offer those services, where I can reach out to the cleaner we use, and we have extra remotes that are universal remotes that work on all the universal Roku remotes that work on all of our TVs, that we are within. I would confidently say we're within 30 minutes of solving a problem with any remote to a guest. Um, and that's just one of many technological touch points that we're able to employ to empower us to self manage, but then also ensure guest satisfaction, which really solidifies our position in uh, long term profitability, maintaining our average nightly rate, maintaining our occupancy, because we're not creating horrible experiences. We're not negatively impacting a guest experience through technology. We're actually enhancing it, and we're eliminating stress points for that guest.
That's right. And the last boneheaded decision that I think we'll talk about today
Yeah.
is paint. So when we purchased this home, we did upgrade the paint from the builder grade paint that was on the wall. So we did upgrade it. But the boneheaded mistake I made, was I should have upgraded it one more level, because had I gone to that next level of paint quality,
Okay.
then it would have been much easier to use the magic eraser on the wall to take off marks and scuffs without taking out the paint finish as well. So by not investing in the right quality of paint, I've created a bit of a nightmare for our cleaning team. And when we do try to clean these smudges off the walls, they're just not coming off. So um, that's something that was a learning curve for me, how the different qualities of paint level can make such a meaningful difference in your ability to maintain the look of the home long term. So, as we have to repaint rooms in the house, which we are starting to do that in mid-April, we're going to start upgrading to that next level of paint quality, so that as those scuffs occur, and they will, you can just simply use the magic eraser, get them off, and the house still looks great.
with paint color, where is your thought around quantity and diversification of paint colors? And I say this because I think we've got in some of our homes we've got like 15 to 20 plus paint colors, and then in some it's more of a neutral base with 4 to 5 paints. I mean, is I love the different paint colors. It's something you have to manage because you're managing essentially touch up paint availability for your maintenance to come in and repaint. Do you find guests acknowledge the detail of the paint, and is it something that do you actively try to streamline the amount or different colors of high quality paint? Or is it more important? And maybe this is a Tammy question, is it more important to ensure each room has its own identity supported by that high quality paint color?
Yeah, this is a big learning for me, and I got the learning from Tammy, and she did such an amazing job of putting the right color on the walls in the rooms. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's lots of different colors, but boy, it's a low cost way to really bring some warmth and some personality to the home. Now, what Tammy really does, and this to me is the differentiator, is when she finishes your home, she gives you a paint chart. So she tells you every color code of every paint she used and where she used it. And she leaves you a quart of that paint in your owner's closet. So,
Hmm.
um, using different paints in different rooms, I think is smart. It's a low cost way to bring some warmth and personality to your home. Just make sure your designer provides you with that color code so you know precisely the color code or the color key that's in each room so that when you need to go out and buy more, it's easy to match. And it's always nice to have that quart to begin with. So, big fan of diversified color. Just make sure you're set up for success with your color codes.
Thoughts on paint versus wallpaper?
I personally like paint. This is a preference, and the reason why is because we have had that one room that we wallpapered, and when
Hmm.
wallpaper gets damaged, it's very hard to repair and to
Yeah.
repair well. Can it be done? Sure, but it's an art, and finding someone that can repair wallpaper well, I think, is very, very difficult. Repainting, pretty straightforward. And quite honestly, I think the right paint color in the room brings so much personality and warmth that that's always going to be the way I slant.
Got it. Well, I think we've shared quite a few of our mistakes on today's episode, so that's humbling always, but I think an important piece where we've gone through a lot of decisions within our business, and they're definitely not always right. Uh, Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're way wrong, and sometimes we're right, but just sheer dumb luck, right? And I think that's the piece where the more we can share these mistakes and then our wins as well, hopefully we're empowering others who are maybe thinking about investing or have already owning a short-term vacation rental to kind of map out shifts or changes or strategic improvements to their space. But it really does. I mean, it goes back to that designer. I mean, unless you are an interior designer uh, already, and now you're getting into the vacation rental space, congratulations, you've saved some money. Based on your own knowledge and expertise. But I'll be the first person to tell you that I think I'm more of a designer than I truly am, more times than not. And it's always humbling to talk to a real expert in the field and say, man, I really don't know what I'm talking about here. I just think I know what I like. And when we're running a business, uh, okay, build a business around what you enjoy and what you like, but really focus on leveraging the experts in the field to make that cohesive vision come together, because it truly is about your guest. It's about your guest and the guest staying there and what you're trying to convey through the space. And that's where a designer is. They earn that investment that you're putting into them.
Well, another good episode, Tim. I think we built on, the cash on cash return episode and really kind of dialed into how that applies to even decisions when it comes to furnishings, decor, and so forth. So Another good episode. Hopefully, our listeners are taking a lot away from this.
Yeah, another good episode. I have added that we're going to do a special bed bug episode. So look at that. We're making new future episodes through our current episodes. So always helpful to talk through that, because I think for every avenue we go down, there's 10 to 30 side streets that we could explore. So uh, as always, thank you to CleaningBnB, our sponsor for this podcast. Check them out at cleaningbnb.com if you're looking for improvements or to upgrade your cleaning company currently in Central Florida and expanding quick. So check them out if you are looking for an upgrade or a change in solution, and they're always ready and willing and excited to talk. So thanks again, everyone. TC, always a pleasure. And good luck to everyone out there as you're looking at the short term rental space. Take care.